In my assembly, I'm going to tell a bit of a story because I want to try and get the message that we're trying to get across to everybody. So the story started actually last weekend when we got a bit of sunshine on Saturday the 4th of May. It started at the Reebok Stadium where I took my granddad as a treat for the day to go and watch Blackpool versus Bolton. My granddad's a massive Blackpool fan, so I promised him all season that I'd take him to one of the games so he could watch his team. After the game, he had a great time. The score was 2-2, and he met a few of the players. And if you can remember back, Fabrice Muamba, who's a footballer whose heart stopped on the football pitch, he was actually sat in front of us. And my granddad, being my granddad who can't hear very well, shouts quite loudly. And he said to me, "Hey, there's that footballer with the funny heart." I was telling him to be quiet because obviously you could hear him. Had a great day, and as we left, we went our separate ways, and I went to my car. I received a phone call from my stepdad saying, "You need to come back here, your granddad's had a funny turn, Betty." And as I came over to find my granddad, he was actually on the floor with a group of people around him, and they were actually carrying out CPR. And what had happened, I didn't know this at the time, but my granddad had a really serious heart attack. He had actually stopped breathing, and my stepdad had pulled him out of the car, and luckily for my stepdad there was a policeman, and he said to the policeman, "Something's wrong here." The policeman pulled my granddad out of the car and realised that he'd actually stopped breathing. At this point, the policeman, being fast thinking, started the CPR on my granddad, and the CPR really wasn't kind of doing anything. At this point, a lady runs past me with a bag, and we will speak to you about it in a minute, and it's what we call a defib. And they used this device on my granddad and actually brought his heart back round, and my granddad started breathing. This is a newspaper article, and as you can see, the policeman that pulled my granddad out of the car and started the CPR is at the end, and the lady in the middle is actually a Bolton fan and an off-duty nurse. She ultimately, with the help of the defibbers, brought my granddad back round, and it actually saved his life. And as you can see, the headline there says, "People were in the right place at the right time." And I feel that not only were these people in the right place at the right time, these people had the skills and the knowledge to also bring him back to life. And the picture to the right is my granddad, who I took a picture of on Saturday when I went to visit him. And he's actually out of intensive care, and he's now in a cardiac ward, and he's coming round really, really well. So on behalf of myself and all my family, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that helped, and we've actually got one of the paramedics in today that was in the ambulance with my granddad.
After Miss Smith told us what happened to her granddad, we made a firm decision that we would all ensure we left school knowing how to carry out CPR and also learn about defibs. As a form, we spoke about how we can fundraise and raise enough money to not only help school by defibs, but to raise money for charities that help with such training in the area. In our we would like to personally thank all the people who worked together to save the life of Derek Smith. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Stephen Nichols, who is one of the many people that helped to resuscitate Miss Smith's granddad.
It's fun to see the work everybody did. And I think it's a privilege for me being here now to say to everybody, we want to teach every single one of you how to do CPR, how to put people in a recovery position. We have got a scheme where we do teach teachers, and also that they then teach the children. And if there's ever an incentive for you to do it, you've just seen it today.